Hello and welcome to the Big Red Machine podcast, episode number 2, the inconsistent 2019 Cincinnati Reds offense. Today we're going to talk about the week in review, and we're going to give out the weekly awards. I'm also going to give my thoughts on Anthony DeSclafani and what I think he needs to do to be successful and stuff like that. And then I'm also going to talk about what to do with Jose Iglesias long term, what the Reds should do with him, if they should re-sign him, if they should trade him, if they should just let him go. We'll see. And then my thoughts on the team for the week, and then I'm going to give them a grade. And then I'm also going to talk about the draft and some of our draft picks that we got this week. And then I'm also going to talk about who our best player is right now, who I think, and why I think that, and the future there. And then I'm going to also talk about, are we contenders? Do I think we're going to make a playoff run or even make it to the playoffs this year? And then to close it out, I'm going to talk about some of our upcoming games in the next week. So to start, I'm going to talk about from last Saturday on to last Friday. So June 1st to June 7th. This is my thoughts. The Reds lost on the 1st of June to the Washington Nationals. They had many opportunities to score in that game. Jesse Winker grounded into a double play with the bases loaded in the first inning. Really killed the rally. And then Jose Iglesias grounded into a double play in the third inning. Killed another rally. And then Eugenio Suarez popped out with the bases loaded in the second inning. Another rally killer. So there in the first 3 innings, we had 3 different guys kill rallies, which, you got to be able to take those opportunities. And then in the 5th inning, Winker grounded into his second double play of the game, with guys on first and second in the inning, and nobody out, and that was in the 5th inning. So we had guys on first and second. He grounded into a double play, got us 2 outs, and there was only 1 runner on at that point after that, but we had guys on first and second with nobody out. And then Tanner Roark pitched against his former team, the Washington Nationals. It was his first start ever against them. First time he's ever pitched for a team other than them in his major league career. And he pitched 6 innings, gave up 6 hits, 4 runs. All 4 were earned. He walked a guy, struck out 6, and then had 2 home runs. The Reds had 12 base runners in the first 5 innings of that game, and they only ended up scoring 1 run out of that. So, they just didn't capitalize with runners in scoring position or runners on base. But yeah, Matt Adams hit a solo shot in the 4th inning. Really hurt the Reds. Not tremendously, but the big blow came in the 2nd inning when Gerard Parra hit a 3-run homer in the 2nd. That kind of, that was basically the game right there, because the Reds only scored 2 runs the entire game. So that won them the game right there in the 2nd inning, basically. Though, one of the weird things was Tanner Roark did have both RBIs for us, and he had a solo homer, which was his first of his career, which was pretty good, pretty exciting. And then Lorenzen came in, threw an inning and a third of shutout baseball, and then Amir Garrett came in through 2/3 of an inning and didn't give up any runs. And then Matt Bowman came in the 9th, pitched an inning and gave up a solo shot homer. But he still pitched really good this year. But the story of the game was just the Reds leaving guys on base. They left 9 guys on base the entire game. It just wasn't necessarily a very good game for that aspect. And then you fast forward to Sunday, the finale of that series, and the Reds lost that game as well, 4-1. The game started with Anthony Rendon singling in Trey Turner in the first to make it 2-1 or 1-0 Nationals. And then with 2 outs in the fourth, Sonny Gray hung a 0-2 breaking ball to give up his second run on the day. Yeah, that game he just was having a hard time putting hitters away once he got 2 strikes on him. And then in the bottom of the fourth, Votto got a leadoff double, and the next batter, Detroit, doubled down the line, scored Votto to make it 2-1 Nationals. And then Sonny Gray was pulled after 5 innings. He ended up going 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, both were earned, and he walked a guy and only struck out 4. But he threw 30 pitches in the first inning, but he really settled down after that. And then Amir Garrett came in through the 6th inning. He walked a guy with 1 out, but that run didn't come around to score. And then Michael Lorenzen came in the 7th to pitch. He gave up a leadoff single, but then got 2 outs and was taken out. The run did not end up scoring. The Nationals ended up scoring runs in the 8th as David Hernandez got guys on first and second and then got taken out. And Jose Iglesias came in, walked the batter to load the bases, and then gave up a 2-run single. And at that point, it was kind of like that was it, because the Nationals were up 4-1 at that point. So it kind of just like kicked the door down. And then Barnhart hit a leadoff double in the 8th, but we didn't score him. And then Wandy Peralta ended up throwing a shutout 9th inning, but the Reds did go on to lose that game 4-1. The Reds were off on Monday as they traveled to St. Louis. So on Tuesday they began a series in St. Louis, and that game did not start off well for the Reds or Castillo. Castillo gave up a leadoff homer to Matt Carpenter in the first inning, first batter of the game. Carpenter just golfed the pitch right to straightaway center, just deep shot. Good hit though. But then after that, Castillo grounded into a double play with the bases loaded in the top of the second. That ended half inning. So yeah, I mean, we had got bases loaded and 1 out, and Castillo grounded into a double play while he was hitting. So killed a rally there. And then Jose Peraza did hit an RBI double in the 4th to tie the game after Jose Iglesias led off the inning with a double. Great work by Peraza. And then he had a good week. Peraza had a pretty good week, one of his better weeks of the year, I think. But then Senzel had a 2-out double down the left field line as Jose Peraza scored, and the Reds took a 2-1 lead. So Senzel coming up clutch a little bit for us there. And then Puig continued his hot hitting in St. Louis. He's hit really, really well at that ballpark in his career. In the 5th inning, he had a solo shot to make it 3-1 Reds. And then Peraza in the 5th inning had another RBI. This time it was a single with 2 outs, and that made it 4-1 Reds. And then Castillo did finish up after 6 innings. He retired his last 12 batters. His final line was 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 run. It was earned. He did walk 4, but he had 8 strikeouts. And he also gave up that leadoff homer to Matt Carpenter. But that was the only damage that they did on him all day. And then Amir Garrett in the 7th inning gave up 2 hits, but got a clutch double play to get out of the inning. And then David Hernandez worked the 8th inning, gives up a hit with 2 outs to Ozuna, but strikes out all 3 batters in the inning. And then Iglesias works the shutout 9th to record his 12th save of 2019. The Reds were off on Wednesday. It was not a scheduled off day, but the game in St. Louis did get rained out. So instead of a three-game series, we had a 2-game series. So we're going to make up that game on August 31st. It's going to be a day-night doubleheader. That's the last time that we'll go to St. Louis this season, at the end of August. But to begin that game, Winker popped out to shallow left field in the first with 2 guys on to end the inning, and then Disco got out of trouble in the second as he retired the final 2 batters to leave Ozuna stranded in the third, and then Carpenter scored Bader in the third inning on a 1-out single to right field. And then Barnhart hit a bases loaded sac fly that scored Winker in the fourth, which tied the game at 1. And then the Cardinals got guys on first and third, nobody out in the fourth, and DeSclafani got out of trouble. He ended up striking out all 3 batters in that inning. And then, just thought yeah, you know what I'm saying? And then DeSclafani was done after 5 innings. He pitched 5 innings. He gave up 6 hits, 1 run. It was earned. He walked the guy, and he struck out 7. It was really gutsy performance by him. He's really struggled here as of late after such a good start to the season. But it was good to see him, get back in the win column, or not the win column, but back on track, And then Amir Garrett threw a scoreless 6th, and then the Reds left guys on first and second with 1 out in the 7th inning. That would come back to haunt them, as with 1 out in the bottom of the 7th, Paul DeYoung hit a laser into the left field seats to make it 3-1 Cardinals. That was off Michael Lorenzen. Lorenzen's final line was an inning and a third, 2 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned, no walks, 3 strikeouts, and a home run. And then Wandy Peralta came in to the 8th just to shut things down, get the final 2 outs. And then, the Reds just really got bested in that game on a lot of aspects. The Cardinal starter, Dakota Hudson, who had really struggled as of late, had a 6.1, or pitched 6.1 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 1 earned, and 4 walks and 3 strikeouts. That was a tough one. And then last night, which I actually did not watch this game. I was at an open house. I didn't watch this, so I don't really know what happened. But the Reds lost 4-2. From what I can tell, Votto hit his 5th home run to left field in the first one, and it was 1-0 Reds. But then Bruce came back. Jay Bruce, his debut with the Phillies last night, hit a 2-run homer in the 5th to make it 2-1 Phillies. And then Tucker Barnhart went to backpick a guy at third base in the 5th inning, and the ball got past Suarez and went into left field, and the Phillies ended up scoring a run off that, so that made it 3-1 Phillies. And then Jose Iglesias had a base hit up the middle to make it 3-2 Phillies, or to make it 3-2, but the Phillies were still up the run at that point. And then Gene Segura grounded into a force out to Derek Dietrich. Cesar Hernandez did score, so it was an RBI ground out. At that point, it was 4-2 Phillies in the bottom of the 8th, and Malley's final line in that game last night was 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned, no walks, 2 strikeouts. He gave up a homer, which, as we know, was to Jay Bruce, the 2-run homer, his first home run as a Philly in his debut. And then Jared Hughes came in, threw 2 innings, only walked 1, didn't give up any hits or runs, and he also struck out 3. From what I heard, he looked really, really good last night, which is always a good sign. Because Jared could kind of be that wild card factor that could really, really make our bullpen more and more dominant as the year goes on. Especially a guy who's as durable as him. Big guy, doesn't get hurt a lot. So, yeah. And then Wandy Peralta, who I don't really know what's going on with him, but he didn't even record an out. He gave up 2 hits, a run, an earned run.